As LIV Golf and the mega money they're offering threatens to absorb the entire game of golf, a few players are holding firm in support of the PGA. However, if Greg Norman is to be believed, one of those players, 2013 Masters winner Adam Scott, could soon be joining the majority of his peers on the newly formed LIV Golf Tour. Today we're discussing Norman's predictions plus other LIV Golf news. Stay tuned. Let's jump straight in then. What did Norman have to say? As rumors continue to swirl regarding Adam Scott's short-term future on the PGA Tour, Greg Norman has been discussing the possibility of Scott's defection. Norman was speaking to media in his native Australia before the last LIV Golf event in Chicago, which was incidentally won by another Aussie in the shape of Cameron Smith, who asked him whether he was still looking into bringing Scott across. The great white shark was uncharacteristically coy when saying, quote, "How can I answer that question?" before going on to explain that although there were early discussions between Scott and the Saudi-backed breakaway league, it's now probably down to Cam Smith and Marc Leishman now, who have to build out the most solid team, which gives them the best value going forward. According to Norman, the two-time British Opener winner then explained that he's always willing to answer questions his golfers might have before then discussing the slew of talent coming out of Australia recently. He said, "I can name you 4 or 5 of the kids. There are some very good ones and 1 or 2 of a connection up to Asia, and that Asian value from a financial standpoint is solid. Whether or not some of these kids will be brought into the LIV Golf fold to push for a spot on Smith's Punch GC team in the near future is yet to be seen." What do you guys make of Norman's comments? What did Scott himself say about the rumors then? Well, it's no secret that Scott has been largely open to the idea of LIV Golf, although he has stayed loyal to the PGA Tour so far. As many players distanced themselves from the breakaway league back in February, Scott revealed that he thought the schedule is very appealing before going on to say he would consider doing that. He also suggested the lifestyle side of things was very appealing, almost certainly meaning that the huge prize money on offer. However, as LIV Golf appeared to be signing most of Scott's peers, his name was conspicuous in its absence and their roster, and when asked last week why he hadn't been tempted to defect, he said, "Well, it's a big conversation and I really don't think I should enter it at the moment." Scott did go on to claim that life on the PGA Tour suits him best right now. Adding to that, he finds it difficult to just give up his entire professional life and trying to achieve these things here and just leaving it behind. He then said he wasn't ready to do that. He then admitted that he might never be ready to leave the PGA Tour behind. When asked about other aspects of LIV Golf, such as rankings points, Scott revealed that it's not his priority to think about, which we guess makes sense. Can you guys see the Aussie ever leaving the PGA Tour behind? Next up, we're discussing some other potential defectors. Stay tuned. Seemingly not a day goes by at the moment without some rumor or another suggesting a top PGA Tour player is set to leave for LIV Golf, so what's the latest? Well, following Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods' now infamous players-only meeting last month, it is now thought that as many as 4 players who attended that very meeting are thinking about upping sticks and leaving the historic PGA Tour. There are persistent rumors that one big-name player could be set to join LIV Golf imminently, which some suggest is the man Jon Rahm. As of right now, Cameron Smith is the highest-ranked player to defect, but there are plenty of other big names who have already joined the new tour. However, if former world number 1 Rahm were to join, that would be a huge coup for the Saudi-backed upstarts. The Spaniard himself has played down the rumors, but if the PGA Tour doesn't do something, and fast, to plug the leak of players jumping ship, they will find themselves in a very serious situation sooner rather than later. McIlroy and Woods' recent meeting and proposed new format seems to have stopped the defections for at least the time being. However, if it doesn't come to fruition, they will find themselves back in the exact same place. A word from Jay Monahan next. Stay with us. As you will be well aware if you follow the game of golf, Jay Monahan serves as the US PGA Tour Commissioner, and it was this week thought that talks between Monahan's PGA Tour and LIV Golf could go some way to smoothing out the massive rift that has engulfed the sport this year. However, according to Monahan, those talks are now, quote, off the table unfortunately. The biggest civil war to hit the game of golf in history has seen scores of tour players defect to the Saudi-backed league, but recently it has been suggested that unity talks could be about to take place. But Monahan does not see that happening, he said, quote, "When you look at it where we are and you think about words and actions, we're currently in a lawsuit. So coming together and having conversations, to me, that card is off the table and it has been for a long period of time. As unfortunate as that is, it makes sense. Monahan and the PGA have been forced to revamp the tour of late in response to LIV Golf's actions, and Monahan had conceded that they are simply going to, quote, focus on things we can control." He then went on to reveal that the original tour has, quote, more assets at their disposal than LIV Golf does, before suggesting that they also have a, quote, stronger partnership and we have the best players in the world, going to commit to playing more. What do you think of Monahan's comments? Next up, Patrick Reed has been called out on his reasons for defecting. As America's Patrick Reed decided to say goodbye to the PGA Tour, he emphatically denied that the increased monetary gain were his motivations for joining LIV, instead claiming that more relaxed schedule will give him time to spend with his kids. And whilst most would have commended him for such a responsible outlook as a family man, it doesn't appear as though all is quite what it initially seemed, given the fact that Reed will appear in 5 tournaments in September alone. Some people have suggested that the old family time excuse might not have been as truthful as he was making it out to be. Of course, no one wants to be labeled greedy, but those who have come out and said that the financial gains were too much to walk away from can at least say they're not attempting to pull wool over anybody's eyes. At the same time of his defection, Reed attempted to blame the busy PGA Tour schedule, saying, quote, "It wears on you as an athlete, wears on you as a person, as a father, and this for me, I feel like this is the best decision ever." However, it doesn't seem as though he has been taking it any easier since joining LIV Golf, prompting some to question if he was using the family card as an excuse to hide his greed. What do you guys think? And finally, Greg Norman has met with Congress to discuss LIV Golf this week. Stick around with us. In a bid to legitimize LIV Golf, Greg Norman this week visited the U.S. Capitol. However, it doesn't seem to have gone too well for the Great White Shark. Norman's LIV Golf is currently embroiled in a lawsuit filed against the PGA for antitrust practices. So Norman traveled to D.C. to give his side of things, but his appearance didn't appear to have impressed everyone. Republican Representative Chip Roy was bullish on his attack on LIV Golf, telling Norman, "Don't come in here and act like you're doing some great thing while you're pimping $1 billion of Saudi Arabian money and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in the United States." Roy then grilled the LIV CEO as to why they weren't registered as a foreign agent, before suggesting his visit to the Capitol was simply PR for Saudi Arabia. And there were plenty of others who look at their opportunity to pile on Norman and LIV Golf, with the Republican Tim Burchett calling Norman's anti-competitive claims basically propaganda, before quite brilliantly adding, quote, "A bunch of rich guys are not going to play golf somewhere. It doesn't bother me one bit. The federal government needs to stay out of that and just let these country clubbers handle their own game." Finally, some speaking sense. What did you make of Norman's visit to Congress? As usual, thank you so much for dropping in on us today, and remember to tune in again next time for some more fun and games. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video with any golf heads you might know of. Have a wonderful day, my friends.